Danger in California is far from over. LA firefighters continue to be on high alert as extreme winds threaten to turbocharge the monstrous wildfires that have already killed 24 people. And as brave firefighters battle to put out those flames, desperate Gavin Newsom is busy picking a fight with Elon Musk. He's posted twice on social media about the world's richest man, accusing the billionaire of spreading, quote, lies about the state's response. He also says that Musk is, quote, encouraging looting. But California voters are tired of Greasy's failed leadership. Newsom is facing a growing recall attempt to knock him out of office. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is also facing a recall effort. She just got asked by a reporter if she regrets her trip overseas to Africa. Watch this.
Looking back, would you have taken that trip overseas?
You know, I am going to focus today
But please,
on what we know.
All right. What do you think of that, Dana?
A couple things. Well, I was saying, why doesn't she just say no?
Yeah.
Because what I didn't know, I think I read this yesterday, when she was running for office, she said, I will never go on a foreign trip. And she's been on 4 Los Angeles taxpayer dollar foreign trips since she's been in office, which hasn't really been that long. So that was dumb. And all mayors should just say, I'm not going on the foreign trips, so let's just erase that. The other thing is, they're talking about Republicans being political. In the middle of these fires on Sunday night, the California legislatures and Gavin Newsom announced they had struck a $50 million deal on the plan to Trump-proof California so that they could make sure that illegal immigrants could be represented by lawyers in the government to help avoid deportation. The other thing is, Newsom also said that pointing out California's soft on crime laws is encouraging looting. Well, guess what actually encouraged looting? The soft on crime laws. That's what happened. That only just recently changed in the last election.
You know, what Dana refers to, Jesse, is the fact that Proposition 47 that reduced sentences and also reduced the felonies to a misdemeanor were at the behest of Governor Gavin Newsom. He was into reducing crime, decriminalizing, and he didn't support Proposition 36 that just got passed when California supported it, raising and increasing sentences for drugs and theft. Basically, he was supporting repeat offenders continuing to loot with no real consequence.
So I guess you can loot from someone's burned out home less than $1,000, and that's okay.
Yeah.
With Gavin Newsom. I think the big frustration is that you can see the United States be able to build anything, anywhere, anytime overseas, but you can't do it in California because it takes 10 years to build a reservoir in California. But if we wanted to build a reservoir in Ukraine, we could do it in 6 months because that's a matter of life and death. But it's also a matter of life and death in California. Why isn't California on a war footing? It's the most riskiest place you could ever live. And you know better than anybody, Judge, with beauty comes great risk. You put yourself in the most beautiful part of the coastline, but you have to deal with earthquakes, wildfires, and mudslides. But the government doesn't mitigate the risk because there's this toxic brew of lawsuits and regulation and ideology and incompetence that you can just get rid of because now he's just getting rid of all the red tape to rebuild. But are we going to let him? What, are we just going to keep destroying Western civilization and then paying to rebuild it over and over again? No, there has to be strings attached to this money because we're not going to go bankrupt because California's stupid. They have lost $24 billion on the homeless, $50 billion on COVID jobless claims. They lost what? $23 billion on a train. It doesn't even go anywhere. So they completely fail every leadership test in California, from natural disasters to COVID to the riots, and we can't let it happen again.
You know, Jessica, Newsom is facing a recall, and California is not the way it used to be. We're going to see the trend change in California, such as we saw it in the last election, where it went up 6 points for Donald Trump. It went down 6 points for Kamala compared to Biden. What do you think that the chances are of a recall happening?
Well, they've already had a recall on Gavin Newsom, and he won by an even bigger margin.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago before this disaster.
Wasn't that long ago. Listen, I understand we all have pipe dreams in life. Like, California is going to go red. It's not going to happen. Gavin Newsom will remain governor. And I actually haven't seen that much emphasis on a Newsom recall. I think Karen Bass is in a lot more trouble than Gavin Newsom is in terms of leadership position here. In terms of the quote unquote, going after Elon Musk, this isn't just like a rando rich guy. This guy is part of the administration. I'm not going to say that he's co-president, but he runs a federal bureaucracy and is in charge of cutting $2 trillion from the budget. And he inserted himself. He went to a fire briefing to ask questions pulled off the internet from all these conspiracy theories about budgets and water levels, et cetera. I mean, there's also a story going around that the California government confiscated Starlink modems or said that the government can't work in conjunction with them. Now, to your point about that strings need to be attached to this, I have never heard from anybody who's advocating for strings to be attached to aid say this about any other natural disaster. And good on
DeSantis usually does a pretty good job.
Really? Okay. Well, things have happened other places. Like, let's talk about Louisiana. There's been $120 billion in aid spent on Louisiana in the last 2 decades. Have you ever said anything about Louisiana?
Louisiana doesn't have a history
of try to justify
misusing funds to the level of Democrats in California.
I think we should look under the hood of Louisiana for a second. Tom Tillis, to his credit,
they haven't wasted $24 billion on a train to nowhere.
Tom Tillis, North Carolina, said we need to treat everyone the same that we treated the people of Western North Carolina.
But
Rick
at some
Scott said
point,
that as well.
If you are delinquent and derelict in protecting
because you
people,
want to make a partisan point, and
no,
because
I don't
Donald
want to make
Trump
a partisan
hates
point.
Gavin, really?
Jessica, will you? I don't want to make a partisan point. I want to say this: if you can't protect the people of California, where you know fires are coming, where you know the fires are burning for years, and you don't even know if a reservoir is empty, you can't even get water pressure out of a fire hydrant, you can't do any forestry management, then damn, at some point you got to pay for it, not the rest of us.
Okay, what about when the grid froze in Texas in 2021? Something that they've been warned about. All right, what? Governor Abbott, I didn't hear anything like Governor Abbott doesn't deserve any help. I mean, Ted Cruz went to Cancun, which is a whole other story.
How about the money that the state taxpayers of Texas paid in order to protect the border, which was a federal government expense?
$400 billion out from federal taxes out of California. They get nothing.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.